Sounds. Since the high-quality Havian30 sounds are the basis of the styles and your playing, in this chapter we'll look at the sounds in depth. When the instrument is first turned on, a stereo piano is across the whole range of the keyboard. You can have a maximum of 4 simultaneous sounds on the keyboard at one time, called keyboard tracks. They're displayed here and are referred to as upper 1, upper 2, upper 3, and lower. In this example, upper 1 is Grand Piano RX1. You can choose a different sound for upper 1 by touching here. Choose a sound, for example, Upright Piano RX. You'll notice that after a few seconds it returns to the home page. This means that display hold is off. This is very useful when playing, but for the purposes of this video we need display hold turned on. Go to Global, touch General Controls. Then go to the Interface tab. Turn display hold on by touching this box. Go back to Style Play mode. Now when we select a new sound, for example the previous sound Grand Piano RX1, this screen stays open until you press Exit. We'll turn display hold off again in the Global, Media, and Updates chapter. Okay, you'll notice that though upper 2 and upper 3 have sounds assigned, they are muted. You can unmute and mute the sounds by touching here. Split is off, so the upper sound or sounds are across the lower and upper range of the keyboard. If I press Split, the keyboard is split with the upper sounds above the current split point, and the lower sound can now be heard below the split point. To the right, these buttons access more keyboard track setups called performances. It's important to understand the difference between a sound and a performance. Sounds are used individually or combined together for your keyboard tracks. Sometimes your keyboard tracks might be a layer of 3 sounds on the top plus a sound in the lower, or 2 sounds in the upper and no sound in the lower, or simply 1 sound across the whole keyboard. Whatever your keyboard tracks are, including the levels, whether it's a split or not, etc., they can be saved and recalled as a performance. Think of the performances as a library of your favorite keyboard track setups. The performances are grouped together in categories. Press Electric Piano. This automatically selects an electric piano performance, usually the first one. It also opens a window with an immediate choice of 8 others. To select another in this category, simply touch the name, for example, Tremolo E Piano. These tabs along the bottom take you to more performances in that category to choose from. You can also press the Category button repeatedly to step through the tabs. When you go to another category, again, it auto-selects one of the performances. Let's choose this other strings and pads performance. When we go back to electric piano, you'll notice that the last performance we chose in this category, Tremolo E Piano, is now the one auto-selected. Use the on-screen tabs to go back to the strings and pads category. The last performance chosen is always the one auto-selected until another is selected in that category or until the Havian30 is turned off. However, it's possible to save your current selections so they're kept even after the instrument is turned off. Then your favorite performance of each category will be the first one auto-selected with a single press of a button. We'll look at this in the Global, Media, and Updates chapter. Press Exit. There are several performances already included, and you can make changes to them and then save them to one of the performance locations. Let's start with this one. Press this button with the picture of a piano. It will always take you to the Grand Piano performance. It's a fast and easy way to get to the most important sound of the Havian30. This is also the first performance that comes up when the instrument is turned on. Okay, let's make some changes. You can select a different sound for any of the 4 keyboard track sounds. Touch the upper 1 area in the upper right corner of the screen containing the name of the current sound, Grand Piano RX1. Touch any sound on the screen to select the one you want, for example, Bright Piano RX. Press Exit to return to the home page. You can also press the Sound button from the group of selection buttons to open the same sound selection window. The screen displays 8 sounds at a time, and you can access more sounds by touching the tabs along the bottom. Pressing the Sound Selection button repeatedly steps through the tabs. The sounds are grouped in categories, which can be selected using the tabs on the left and right. Additional groups of sounds can be accessed with the tabs along the top. Go to the Factory tab, Electric Piano category, Page 3, and select Classic Tines. Press Exit. Pressing the Split button splits the keyboard at middle C and gives you access to the lower sound. You can choose a different split point by holding down the Split button for a few seconds until this appears on the screen. Then play the note where you want the split to be. By the way, when the style is stopped, as it is now, you'll notice that even if lower is muted, the lower sound will play as well as the bass sound from the style. This is called bass and lower backing, and is very useful for playing introductions to songs. However, if you wish, you can disable this function in Global. We'll look at this in the Global, Media, and Updates chapter. Let's unmute upper 3. You can adjust the levels of each of the keyboard tracks here on the Volume tab. Let's save these changes to one of the performance locations by holding down any one of the performance category buttons until this screen appears. Touching this T takes you to where you can rename the performance. Touch OK to confirm the text. Then touch here to choose the category and location you want it saved to. Let's save it to one of these empty locations at the end of the electric piano category. Press Exit. Touch OK, then Yes. Guitar and Synth category, Page 4, Portamento Lead. Exit. To the left of the volume knob, there's a joystick that helps to add nuance and expression to your keyboard tracks. Pushing it to the left and right changes the pitch. Pushing forward adds vibrato. And pulling back does different things depending on the sound. There are 125 different studio quality effects inside your Havian30. 2 of these effects can be used at the same time for the accompaniment tracks and 2 at the same time for the keyboard tracks. For example, you'll notice a reverb effect and a delay effect on this synth sound. The amount of each of the effects can be adjusted. Press Menu, then Mixer Tuning, and go to the Effects Send page. The word Effects is abbreviated as FX. The Track Select button toggles between displaying the accompaniment tracks and the keyboard tracks. Display the keyboard tracks. These parameters control the amount of the 2 separate effects for each of the keyboard track sounds. If you wanted to keep the adjustment you made, you'd need to save it to a performance location like we did earlier in this chapter. Press Exit. Select the grand piano performance for the next section. Let's look at the metronome, an integral tool for helping a musician practice. Turn on the metronome. The metronome can be adjusted in a few ways. The tempo, using the dial, or touch the displayed tempo. A numeric keypad appears and you can enter the tempo you want. Or use the tempo up-down buttons. Reset the tempo to the original setting by pressing the two buttons simultaneously. You can also adjust the volume, the accent. Some windows have a safety pin icon. Touching it pins the window open so it doesn't close immediately after touching a selection. Touch the safety pin to close the window. The time signature can be selected here. Turn off the metronome. In the next chapter, we'll look at styles, which, by the way, are much more fun to play along with than a metronome. In that chapter, you'll see that sounds are also used by the different tracks of the style accompaniment. For example, the bass track might use a synth bass sound, another track might use an electric piano sound, etc. So basically, the keyboard tracks, performances, and style tracks are all accessing the same library of sounds inside your Havian30. And there are hundreds of sounds to choose from, so the possibilities are endless.